The Three Wishes. One fine morning in early winter, a woodman went from his little house into the forest just outside his door. He spent most of his time cutting down trees. He stopped in front of one tall tree and prepared to cut it down. He was marking and measuring the tree and looking at the branches. Suddenly, the tree began to shake gently, and a soft voice spoke to him sadly from the branches. "Oh, woodman," said the voice, "please be kind to me. I have made my winter home in this tree. If you cut it down, I shall have nowhere to sleep and must die in the cold." The woodman was almost too surprised to speak. "Who are you?" he said. "I can't see you." "No, because I am a woodland fairy. You can see only the tree that clothes me, and the branches where in the spring I will grow my pretty green hair. If you will not hurt me, then I will give you and your wife 3 wishes. The woodman agreed to leave the tree standing so that the fairy could sleep within it until the spring. He then hurried home to tell his wife what happened. Then he sat in his chair and asked for his food. "There is only bread," said the lady. "But with 3 wishes we can—" "Only bread?" said the woodman. "I wish 100 dishes of good hot black puddings would come through that window." He stopped talking suddenly. His wife gave a little cry and dropped the bread. Through the window came the biggest, hottest, and best 100 dishes of black puddings you ever saw in your life. The woodman's mouth watered as he looked at them. "Pick up a dish, wife," he cried. "Here's food for a hungry man." "Pick up a dish yourself," cried his wife angrily. "One of our 3 wishes is gone, and we have only 100 black puddings to show for it. I wish they were hanging on the end of your foolish nose." "Ugh! Ugh! Ugh!" shouted the woodman, jumping halfway across the kitchen. "What's this? What's this?" He was wildly shaking his head, for the whole line of black puddings had suddenly become stuck on his nose, as his wife had wished. The woodman was angry and afraid. As he tried unsuccessfully to shake the black puddings from his nose, his wife was also very afraid. She tried to cut them away, but they were very black puddings, and it was not possible to remove them. In fact, it would have been easier to cut off her husband's head. She began to cry. The more she cried, the more bad language the woodman used. However, the very hot black puddings stayed hanging from the tip of his nose. "Don't worry, said his wife, as pleasantly as she could. "We'll have a big house with people to serve us, and we'll have lots of animals too. We only have to decide how much money to wish for. Then we can live happily for the rest of our lives." "Live happily!" shouted her husband. "Who's going to live happily with 100 hot, smelly black puddings hanging from his nose? I wish to goodness they were back out the window where they came from." All of a sudden, he felt a sort of electricity in his nose. A second later, the 100 black puddings flew out the window and disappeared. The woodman and his wife stood looking at each other. At last, the old husband spoke, touching his nose at the same time. "What's the good of wishing for things?" he said thoughtfully. "You never know where you are when you have them. Prepare some fresh bread, wife, and we'll eat." And that was the end of the 3 wishes given to the woodman and his wife by the fairy who lived in the tree.